Hello everyone, welcome to Model Kit Stuff. My name is Jason, it's Saturday and this is a special edition of Table Talk. In fact, we weren't really going to have a proper Table Talk at all this week, but things went wrong, which means plans change, and here we are doing an Airfix 2026 release special of Table Talk. I don't think you're going to want to miss it, it's going to be a load of fun. Let's get stuck in. So yes, a special edition of Table Talk. We're focusing on the Airfix 2026 range launch this week, and we'll come back to that in a minute. Let's get some of the usual stuff out of the way, not the least a massive warm welcome to all the new subscribers and new channel members. I massively appreciate it. As I've said before we go any further, I'm just going to remind you that last year it cost £4,500 to produce a year's worth of videos for the channel to run for that 12 months period. I have got some really exciting things planned for 2026 and I would really like you to join me. So to help me in that, just hit the like button below and then we'll get stuck in. And if you're not a subscriber, by the end of the video, if you think you've enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button and then you won't miss other stuff that comes out. Right then, so usually at this point we talk about what's been going on in the week, and for you guys, well, it's not very much. We had the Sherborn showcase on Wednesday, and that seemed to give a little bit of confusion to one or two people because I chose in my wisdom to use the introduction from the very first episode of building wooden model ships for absolute beginners, episode 1, and in there I started by saying we're going to build this, we're going to build the Sherborn, and we're going to do it every single step, and you're welcome to build along. And I thought that was a really nice introduction into, and here's some of the people that built along. Inevitably, it's only a small proportion of people that actually did. But I thought the showcase was brilliant, and it is one of the proudest moments of the channel, introducing people into a new hobby. And I got a lot of emails about the Sherborn when people were sending me pictures, and I did read them all. I just simply didn't have time to reply to them, to be honest. But you know, some of you gave me some details. Lots of you trying a wooden model kit for the first time, either as a plastic modeler that wants to try something else. A good number of you looking for a new hobby because you've just retired, or maybe used to make models as a kit and you're just coming back to it. So over half of the models you saw there were first time wooden builds, and for some people first time model builds ever. And the standard of the builds is really good, really high. So yeah, I'm really proud of the achievement of getting everyone involved in that, and I really hope you keep building wooden kits because it is a different discipline to plastic, and in many ways it's more traditional modelling, if you like. Plastic modelling has evolved over the years, and it's a lot less, it's a lot more assembly, it's a lot more like building Lego than ever before. I mean, it's never going to be like building Lego, you're always going to have to paint it and stuff, and if you choose to build older kits, you're always going to be doing filling and sanding and scratch building and stuff like that. But with newer kits, generally, they don't present you any issues regardless of who the manufacturer is, and they should go together relatively easily. And yes, there's a skill set behind it. It's a different skill set for wooden modelling, and some people prefer that sort of traditional modelling skill thing. I find wooden modelling personally more relaxing than plastic modelling. I build plastic models because there's subjects that I want to build that you simply can't get in wood. I build wooden stuff because, again, there's subjects that I want to build that you can't get in plastic, but it is so relaxing building wooden ship kits. So there we go, that was the Sherborn showcase. I'm sorry for the confusion. Some people, I think one or two people, thought, oh, it's the wrong video, and stopped watching and missed the rest of the showcase. If that was you, go back and watch the rest of it. I did put a big thing across it saying, whatever it was, September 2024, to sort of say, look, this is then, and as a lead in. Sometimes it runs better in my head than it ends up running on the video, and I think, you know, there's not much I can do about that. Once I get the idea in my head, we're probably running with it. So yeah. Anyway, Sherborn showcase. If you missed it, go and see it. If you've ever wanted to build a wooden model ship, go and check out the build. I do every single plank, knot, you name it, everything is in there, step by step, the whole build. I miss nothing out. Every single rope is covered. So yeah, go and check that out. It's been a very popular build. But that's it. That's probably the last time we're ever gonna mention the Sherborn, I would think. So yeah. And I've already started on season 3 of wooden model ship building for absolute beginners. So more of that to come in the future. Right then, we are going to focus on Airfix, but let me just remind you what's happening with the channel next week first. There you go, nothing. I'm having a break. That doesn't mean I'm actually having a break from either modelling or video editing or filming for that matter. What it means is I'm having a break from putting stuff up. Just having that 2-week window allows me to start editing and getting ahead and putting me back in front, because I get this, particularly over the Christmas period, there's so much going on and so much that becomes hand to mouth that I'm no longer ahead. And actually I was hand to mouth for quite a bit of last year, and it's not a great place to be. You just feel like you're under a bit more pressure than you would like, and this is supposed to be relaxing and fun. So what I'm doing is getting ahead. I've got the first week of February already edited, uploaded and in the bag. The second week of February, videos edited, first one uploading, second one will be uploaded tomorrow, and this weekend I start a new build, and I'm hoping that will be the build for the second Friday, the 13th of February. So yeah, all good. I've done my program this week in my plan, and other than table talk and 1 or 2 Fridays, I've pretty much got everything recorded, getting me into middle of March. So that's good. Recorded is very different to edited. I've still got a lot of work to do. Right, I did say we'd probably have a stash ad this week. We haven't. It's not been delivered again. Flipping Jadlam. Load of rubbish. What I think they do, I think they take orders for stock they've not got, and then they order it and you have to wait for it to come in. Well, that's no good for me. It might be okay for me if I was a modeller and I was just adding it to my stash and waiting doesn't matter. But I want to get this on the channel, and I want to get it in a channel in good time before everybody else has seen it, and it's almost pointless me doing the video. So Jadlam are massively letting me down. It's not the first time, but I can guarantee you it's the last time. We will not be buying from them again unless they happen to be in Telford, which they have been the last 2 or 3 years, and I can buy directly and not have to wait for it. but I won't be ordering from them online again because the service isn't good enough. Simple as that. There you go. Right. When we come back next week, we're going to be talking about some of the exciting plans for this year outside of some of the stuff we've already talked about. Having said that, next weekend I will be at my first model show of 2026, the Bolton one, which is on 25th, 26th of January. I will be there. I don't know what time I will be there. I will probably be around lunchtime to early afternoon. So probably get there. If you're there between 1 and 2, you're almost definitely going to be in the room when I am. So look out for me. Don't hesitate to say hello. I'm not going there to buy anything. No, honestly, I've got no intention of buying anything. I am just there to film the show, take in the ambience and have a look at the builds and see what's there. You know, when you've been to the same show a few times, it gets a little bit repetitive. You've got the same clubs there with the same models on display, and you're almost going, well, should I go this year or not? So this year I'm gonna scoot up there briefly, and we'll perhaps be there for a couple of hours. Now, if you're going and you've not been before, or you've been before and paid for parking, you don't have to pay for parking. Just give them your registration number plate when you go in the building, and they put it on a little list, and you won't be charged for not paying for your parking. Okay, so you can get caught if you don't take account of that. You must give them your registration number when you go in, and the parking is free. Always is, always has been. It won't be different this year. So there you go. Right then, I will probably see some of you at Bolton. I know at least 1 or 2 of you are going. I will definitely be there, unless, you know, it's waist deep in snow. They are talking about us having snow come back, and probably some of the heaviest snow we've had for a quarter of a century. So we will see whereabouts in the country that is. Usually when they say, oh, it's going to be really heavy snow, what they mean is the Highlands of Scotland, and by the time it gets down to Preston, it's a hard frost and not much more. So we will see. Anyway, right, let's get stuck in with Airfix. We've got it up there. I'm going to tell you right from the off, I thought that Airfix did a pretty good job this year. And last year there wasn't much that spoke to me, and I bought 1 or 2 things for purposes of the channel, like the Jaguar aeroplane thing. I've got no real interest in it, but I bought it so I could review it on the channel. Will I build it? Maybe. Likely not, you know. But there's a combination of things this year that I will be buying for the channel, but mainly there was stuff that spoke to me and that I was interested in. So what I've done is I've filtered on the Airfix website the 2026 stuff. You just click the button that says new for 2026, and then I've sorted it by price, low to high. So we're going to work from the cheapest kits all the way to the most expensive. We'll talk generally, and then 1 or 2 kits we'll talk a little bit more in detail about when I've got some particular thoughts about them, or if I have pre-ordered them, and we'll talk about why. Now, I must say that I'd held off until after the launch to make a decision on whether I wanted to buy into the Airfix club this year, and I decided that it was worth my while. I've ordered about £450 worth of kits on pre-order. Well, membership is 35 quid, you get 10% off, so I've made that money back. Plus, this is the members builds for this year. That one is ancient, 1971 or something like that, and the other one is a bit more recent, and I'm not really interested in them. However, they are a little unusual. So that's your tiger moth, yellow. I mean, real old school plastic, like plastic toy stuff. And the Saab Viggen is in red. So yeah, I mean the Saab Viggen, it's all raised panel lines. It looks pretty junky to me. The Tiger Moth is better. I built it in 148. I've got another one in 148. I've got two now in 132, which we'll be reviewing soon, by the way. Do I really want to build it in 172? Probably not. But it's interesting that they come in these bright colours. So I'll probably end up selling that at some point, and that will also contribute to reducing the price of the membership. The rest of the stuff I got in the membership pack is just the usual junk you don't need. So the box, the welcome letter, there was a poster, that all went straight in the recycling. You got some stickers. Again, I mean, I must have about 8 or 9 stickers. I've got nothing to stick it on. So yet another keyring, and I said last year, how many sets of keys did I think people have got? Yet another keyring, yet another badge. This one says 2026 on it. It'd be nice if they just did a digital membership version. So you got the option. Do I want the full set with the kit? Yeah. Do I want the kit only? Yeah, that's a little bit cheaper. Do I want just a digital version? You know, the rest of the world is digital only. I would happily buy the digital only and just get the passbook sent to me. So I've got about 4 passbooks, but we will be using them this year, as you're about to find out. So, right, that's enough on the membership. We keep putting off talking about this, don't we? So let's get stuck in. Right then. So, at the very lowest, the cheapest kit entering the range in 2026 is £5.99, and it's the Avro 504K, 172 scale. It's a Series 1 kit. You can get it for next to nothing with your flying hours. So it's a real nice kit to have a little play at. I don't know how old it is without going in and having a look. But some people are going to really enjoy that. Airfix don't do enough releases of First World War kits, certainly recently. But what really caught my eye this year was the release of the figures. Now, they've released the figures in 2 different formats. We'll come back to the second format a bit later. But we've got released here, also at £5.99, Romans, Ancient Britons, the Sheriff of Nottingham and Robin Hood. Now, one of those sets really speaks to me, and like I say, we'll come back to that later. But the Roman set is very nice, and the Ancient Britons is one of the nicest set of figures Airfix ever released. They are proper cracking, and if you like, I mean, they're 176 scale, all of these figures. So if you like wargaming, board wargaming, and that sort of stuff, you know, the Ancient Britain set is really good, very good. With all the metallics involved in them, they're pretty good. And there's a guy on a chariot, which I reckon is a missed opportunity. It really should have been Boudica for me, but because if you're going to have Ancient Britons fighting Romans, you want it to be Boudica, you know, sacking Rome and burning it to the London and burning it to the ground, you know. Anyway, the figures, I was watching Moz, and 1 or 2 people on his live stream were saying, well, that's a bit weird, why would they do that? No, I think the figures are inspired. I really do. There is not enough releases of figures around these scales. They're great for kids to play with unpainted. They're great for kids to learn to paint on, and you get loads of them. So there's hours and hours of fun in these boxes, and they're very good. And if you're like I say, if you're a war gamer or a collector of armies and soldiers and stuff, these are very different to the stuff that you can usually buy. And you know, still hold up well by modern standards. Right, moving up to £7, we have HMS Cossack. So HMS Cossack 1/600 scale, a widely done ship because of her bravery, you know, going in and torpedoing German capital ships and repeatedly going in and what have you. If you're interested in brave naval actions, go and read around HMS Cossack. So a nice little release in 1/600 scale. I mean, she's a destroyer. She's going to be fairly small compared to some of the battleships, hence why she's only £7. But she's an important kit, and you've got to remember that battleships always had destroyer escorts to protect them, and particularly aircraft carriers. So if you're building an Ark Royal, having a Cossack with it on your seascape is really adding some authenticity to the thing. So for me, there is never enough destroyers released. So yeah, really good. Right, in the same price bracket at £7, you've got the Mark II Matilda is what they're calling it, or most commonly known as a Matilda II. So it looks like it comes with the African paint scheme, so you'll have the blues and the greens and what have you, and it's certainly probably the most famous theatre of war for that tank, I would think, although you will certainly see it in early war France and Belgium and what have you. So yeah, probably a nice little release. Again, 1/76 scale, a bit of an old school scale these days, but lots of people still build it. Then at £9 we've got the Curtis P40B Warhawk. That's a re-release of a kit that was on release 2 or 3 years ago. Anyway, it's an okay kit. I think many of people probably already have it. For me, it's a bit of a surprise that it's come back with the same decals, to be honest. Anyway, then they're doing this bundle with the catalogue and a mystery box. Now, just to give you a little bit of a feel, you could buy a mystery kit for £9.99 in December. Now you buy a mystery kit for £9.99 and you get the catalogue, which is usually about £7, so you're getting the catalogue for free. Or if you want to hold your water till the end of the year, you'll probably get it free at Telford. I got one at Telford, you know, but you only really need one every few years because it's all online. But there is stuff on the back, the Humbrol stuff and things like that, which is handy for reference. Some people collect them. I'm not one of them. Right, at this price range, pretty much everything with the exception of the Warhawk has been a vintage classic, and that continues. So it continues with the £9.99 range, and we've got the Mitsubishi Ki 46-2, which is a re-release. I don't know anything about the kit, the condition of the kit. I don't remember Airfix releasing that recently, so I think that's been a while. And next to it, same theatre of war, you've got the Douglas Dauntless SBD 3/5. Again, an old kit. I don't know how old, both 172, those two kits, but probably will look quite nice next to each other on a little display, something like that. So yeah, and then just to prove a point, the catalogue this year is £9.99, so you might as well buy it with a mystery box, mightn't you? There you go. Right, so we are now on page 2 of 7, and because I've done it in low to high order, we're on masking sets. So Airfix are now really getting stuck into releasing their masking sets, which is good to see, because the masking sets that my experience so far, and I've not used them in anger, I've just played with them, they're very good. They're made by Cartograph, who do the decals and the die cut, so you're not having to mess around like you do with Tamiya ones, wondering which side of the line you cut on or anything like that. So what have we got here? We've got Westland Sea King in 148, we've got the Phantom in 148, the Junkers JU52 in 172. We'll be coming back to that because it's a new kit release. The Jaguar in 148. We've got the Stalwart in 135, which includes wheel masks as well, which is a nice touch. The 124 Hellcat, which we'll also be talking about later in the year. The Boeing Chinook, which was released a couple of years ago now, was it? In 172. Avro Anson, the Mark 1. The Avro Lancaster. I mean, it's good that they've done that, because they must sell ton. It must be one of their most popular aircraft in 172. The Heinkel 111, the Messerschmitt ME410, and the B-17G. All of those fairly popular, some of them new releases, some of those releases coming out. So these are all pre-orders, and they're all £9.99, £10. So I don't think that's too bad. You can certainly buy paint masks cheaper, but don't forget, if you're a club member, you're going to get 10% off them as well. Yeah, I'm a fan of the idea of the masking set separate, because not everyone's going to want to buy them. Some people will have masking sets as part of other aftermarket sets. Other people will prefer to make their own. Okay, masking sets continue with the 148 Junkers, the 172 Bristol Beaufort, and the 148 Bristol Blenheim. So a nice release of paint masks, and I like to hope that we will see more of that coming along. Okay, so we're now in the £10.99 range, and we're still in vintage classics, but things are about to change shortly. So we've got two classic British tanks being released, the Chieftain and the Centurion. The Centurion is the Mark 8, and then to accommodate those, we've got some figures. World War II British Commandos. So that's nice to see. Now the British Commandos are 132 scale. So again, a bit of an odd scale. You sort of feel like Airfix got their scales wrong historically, because everyone does 135 figures to go with 135 vehicles, and 172 figures to do with 172 vehicles, and Airfix did 176 and and then 132. So yeah, so I don't know what the thought was originally. It's a vintage classic, but there you go, 132. So decent size, but they will look wrong on a 135 diorama. So don't think it'll be all right. It won't be. Right, then we move to German Leopard tank. This is the first Leopard tank, Cold War tank, and that is also 176 scale, and we've now moved up to £11. So far, none of these I've pre-ordered, by the way. I will let you know when we get to pre-orders. But, you know, most of these have been Series 1 and Series 2 kits, so you can get them for very few flying hours. Sticking in 176 scale, we've got the release of the 4x4 Tactical Aircraft Refueler. So that's a more modern vehicle in 176. And the Vickers Light Tank. So yeah, I like these sort of interwar tanks. The Vickers tank proved some nice concepts that were then used on later tanks. So that could be interesting. How old it is, I don't know. It's not in the vintage classics livery, which suggests to me it's under 15 years old. Continuing with the £11.99 range is the Saracen APC in 176 scale. So a nice little vehicle, but one of the least attractive versions of it in my mind. Then we've got the Wildcat, which you've seen me build as a mule this year. That's £11.99 now in 2026. And then we've got the quick build Eurofighter Typhoon. Great for the kids, the quick builds, not my cup of tea. Alice used to like them, but she's grown out of them. Right, back to ships. 1600 HMS Suffolk. I'm really pleased that they released that, and I may get this with my air miles yet. Possible. I've got enough for. I've got something I really want to get, which is a Series 8 kit, but I'll still have enough left over to get something a bit smaller. And the Suffolk is a really nice ship. Quite active in the Norway campaign, and obviously famous for shadowing Bismarck and Prince Eugen in the Battle of the Denmark Strait, and a survivor of World War II. So yeah, an interesting little ship. I think for most people it's interesting because of a relationship with Bismarck, and if you're planning on building the Airfix 1600 Hood and Bismarck, why on earth would you not want a Suffolk to go with it? So that. Then we've got the crash recovery set in 176. Now these are fairly readily available on eBay, and the price is about to drop on them quite significantly, because at $15.99 for the crash recovery set, it's a nice little kit. And you can use it in all sorts of dioramas. What's particularly lovely is, I'm going to just zoom in on this so you can get a better look. Where's my mouse gone? What's particularly lovely in this set is this vehicle here. So the one with the crane gives you so many options. These are two unusual vehicles that you never usually see on dioramas. So I mean, I'd love to see them in 1/35 scale. I really would. But also you get two motorcycle riders as well, an escort team. So it's just a lovely diorama. It's a shame it's 176. It's a bit standalone. You can't put your 172 aircraft next to it, really. So yeah, it's just a bit of a shame, the scale, but the set itself is lovely. Would sit quite happily on a railway layout though. Okay, £18 now, and we've got the 172 North American Sabre. I don't know if that, I don't think that's a new tool, not really sure. Jets aren't really my thing, but yeah, don't know. The World War II British Infantry set is £19, so we're at the £20 mark now, and we've got British Infantry support set, so that's mortar team, artillery, spotters and that sort of stuff. And then we've also got, at the same price, World War II German mountain troops. So I don't know whether you've got skis and backpacks and that sort of stuff, but they should have. Interestingly, on the box art, the figures have the little Edelweiss thing. So yeah. This I thought was quite eye-catching. So Short's Skyvan, not an aircraft I'm familiar with, but I like the quirky, and it's got Olympic liveries, so that's quite nice as well. 172 scale, and another vintage classic coming in at £22. Okay, then we're back on ships at 1600 scale as always for Airfix. Modern warships, HMS Nelson and the Scharnhorst in her early guise, so before her clipper bow, so pretty much as launched, so it looks quite different to the one I'm building. I think both of those would be nice kits. They're both fairly old kits, so the moulding will be a bit chunky. You won't get railings and bits and pieces like that, but there are 1600 railing sets available. Look at Atlantic Models and people like that. Nelson's an unusual because it's got the 3 turrets at the front, and all the superstructure at the back, and some people think they're ugly, some people think they're really pretty. I'm undecided. Scharnhorst though, a nice kit. If you're a German warship interest, that's a nice little model. Okay, then we're up at £25, and we talked about the Romans and the Ancient Britons. If you fancy both the sets, you might as well go for this. and get the fort with it. Now the Roman fort was based on on Hadrian's Wall, and it has an outer wall with an inner keep and a couple of buildings, so it's quite a nice little castle. And you get both of those sets, so you can make a nice little diorama if you want, or a play set for the grandkids, something like that. In the same price range, we've also got, I'm jumping around a bit, but there's a reason, we've also got the Robin Hood Sherwood Castle and figurine set. So again, you've got the Sherwood, both sets of the Sherwood figures, and you get a castle. The castle's not quite as complex as the Roman fort. There's nothing inside it. It's basically a square wall with turrets. But again, it gives you lots of scope, and I think it makes a nice playset. And that's my first pre-order, believe it or not. I admit, I loved Robin Hood as a kid, the Disney film, and there was various TV series. And then in the 80s, there was a series simply called Robin Hood, had 2 different lead actors over 2 seasons, music by Clannad as I recall, and I really enjoyed it. So Robin Hood's been a bit of a theme of mine, my early life, so I would have loved that. You know, a 9-year-old me would have absolutely lapped up that. It comes with a Maid Marian on horseback as well. So I think that would be fun just to paint it up. What I might do is create it as a play set for Esme. She can play damsels in distress and have all these figures and Robin Hood and that sort of stuff. She likes her Disney films, so she can watch Robin Hood, then she can play Robin Hood. So that's sort of my plan for that. But I thought it was something very, very different to review on the channel. So that's my first pre-order. Then there's a Sink the Bismarck gift set at 1 to 1,200 scale. Gonna be tiny, but it does come with paint and paintbrushes, but again, it's still tube glue. They need to get rid of the tube glue. It puts me off buying the gift set. The scale's all wrong for me anyway. But £25, that's a nice little stocking filler set, I think, for a youngster. Right, okay, now we're starting to get into the more serious kits. So, we've got 172 Katie. And this is a re-release. I've built the kit before as an Airfix Club members kit, and it's a really, really nice kit. £25. It's the most I'd pay for it, I think, but it is a reasonably nice kit. You could do with them releasing some paint masks for it because it's got loads of windows. Then we've got a 1600 Prince Eugen. As I've said before, if you've got the Hood, you've got Bismarck, that's an essential. Build your battle fleet. So yeah, £25. It's a more complex build than some of the others that we've seen, and it has some nice detail, that model, although still a little bit chunky because of its age. Right, then we've got the English Electric Canberra. That's going to be £30. That's a level 5 kit in 172 scale. That's going to be quite welcome by a number of people. Even in 172 scale, don't underestimate it. It'll be a big old kit, that. So yeah, there we go. Then we've got a twin set, Eurofighter Typhoon and Hawker Typhoon, both in D-Day livery. It'll speak to some people. I can't be doing with modern jets in wartime livery. Yeah, I sort of get it, but at the same time don't get it. So yeah, it doesn't speak to me. And then they've got the Lockheed F117 Nighthawk with the stars and bars undercarriage. That will be very colourful, and it's probably as fun as that build could ever be, I would think. 172 scale, £30, good value, yeah, to be seen. Then we've got HMS King George V, 1/600 scale, £30. That was actually one of the later 1/600s tooled, I think. It's 1980, 1981. So it's one of the better toolings of the 1/600 kits, and as such, that's my second pre-order, just so we can do a review of a 1/600 kit re-release and see what it looks like. So yes, it's still going to be chunky and what have you, but it should have a lot more finesse than some of the older kits that we've already talked about. Hence its price at £30. KG5, also a kit that's a ship that's important to me, as I had family serving on it during the Bismarck incident. My great uncle being the meteorological rating on her when they sank the Bismarck. So yeah, lots of interest in that. So I thought we'd get that as it's one of the newer ones and give people an impression. Then one of the welcome additions to the range this year will be the Saracen. Now I say that with a little bit of reservation after what came out with the Stalwart last year. From both the Stalwart and the little armoured car, the Ferret, that they did before, the level of detail on both of those kits has not been up to modern standards. It's been okay, but it's not been great. They haven't had time to take that on board and put that into the design of a kit being released this year. So I have a little bit of reservations that we might find it a little bit dumbed down. And in the actual video that Airfix did on launch day showing the mock-up of this, it had fit issues. There was gaps. This front bumper area here, let me show you, had gaps where it didn't fit. So I have some reservations because there was gaps there in the one that Airfix had built. So, okay, pre-production, they may well be working through that and you might not ever see it, but I have pre-ordered it because it's the natural successor to what's come before. They're building up a nice range of Cold War vehicles. And for me, the Saracen is quite an interesting looking vehicle. There's plenty they can do with that in the future. So yeah, and it looks like it'll be quite detailed, but we said that about the Stalwart. So we're now at sort of £34 range, and we're getting into sort of beefy money for our models. And the Elvis Stalwart is being re-released this time with the Limber. I sincerely hope they sort out all the production problems that we had, because I've got two of those kits now. One I purchased, one they sent to me as a replacement, and quite frankly neither of them are fit for purpose. So I won't be buying into this, but it's a welcome addition, because buying that as a resin addition is a really expensive option. So that just deflates all the aftermarket, depending on how good a job they do of it. But yeah, I think that's a very nice addition to that. Then their Cromwell comes out. Now, the Cromwell I've built. There is a build diary of it if you want to see it. This is a slightly different version, but it is a truly nice tank, a nice easy build. I enjoyed it. So at £35, I think it's good value when you consider how much you'd perhaps be paying from other manufacturers for a tank in 135 scale. I think they're a good value tank, and they're sort of at an Academy standard. So yeah. Then we've got Eurofighter Typhoon Blackjacks with a Shorts Tucano, whatever that is. I think it's that thing there in the back. Yeah, speaks to some people, I guess, aircraft enthusiasts, not to me. And then we've got a Eurofighter Typhoon with a Hawker Hurricane, both in Second World War camouflage. Again, I've commented on that. Don't get it, but get it, but don't get it. Right, still at £35, de Havilland Vampire in 148, a re-release of a fairly recent tooling. It's a very nice kit. We have done a review of the first release of it on the channel, so if you go into the First Impressions playlist, you will find that. At £35, I think it's good value for money, to be honest. Then we've got another release of the North American B25B Mitchell. Again, it's a nice kit, slightly longer in the tooth, but still a very good kit. So yeah, there's no reason why that won't be another popular release. Then this will be a popular release because this is hard to find, and when you do see them, they're silly money. So the SRN4 Hovercraft, it's one of Airfix's famous kits, if you like, and I seem to remember that you've got clear parts in here so you can see inside it and stuff like that. That is another one that I've pre-ordered because it's one I've wanted for a while and I've not been prepared to pay the silly money. But at £40, that's sort of the limit I would pay. I'm interested to see what condition that'll come in. So yeah, an interesting kit. Hovercraft's British invention, something that led the way technology-wise in the 70s, very popular. You still see them on the south coast a little bit now, hopping over the channel. But yeah, and another classic kit from Airfix, one small step for man. So £40. This is the full diorama, gives you the Apollo lander, the moon buggy, the figures. It's showing its age, it's all a bit chunky. I know they're in big space suits and stuff, but it's all a little bit chunky. But at that price, you're getting paints, tube glue and paintbrushes. So it's a nice gift set, something to give at Christmas. Hopefully they'll have it well out before Christmas because that's a great little stocking filler. Young kids just learning about space exploration, a nice kit. And I'm glad that Airfix have re-released it. I built it as a kid and absolutely loved it. Right, then we've got Pearl Harbor 85th anniversary set. You can't go wrong with that. You've got 2 Japanese aircraft and an American aircraft. Let's just have a quick look. You get all the paints. It's a bigger set, so you've got lots of paints, 12 paints, brushes and 2 glues. And what have you got in there in the way of kits? Doesn't really tell me at this point, but looks like I wonder if I can expand that and it'll tell me. Yeah, so you got a P-40 Warhawk, Mitsubishi Zero and another Kate. So yeah, and you can see white, classic white Zero, the Imperial Japanese Navy green for the Kate, and then the Warhawk, which is exactly the same one that they've released as an individual kit. So yeah, fun for some, for me not interested. Then we have the Westland Lysander being re-released, special duties, lots of people asking for it, lots of people saying they'd wait for it. Airfix, you know, it would have been silly of them to sit on it any longer, so that's a great release. Have I pre-ordered it? Yes, I have. So I've got the Lysander, not built it. I've pre-ordered this because I prefer the SOE version. What I really like about it is it comes with a little female special agent figure, which I thought was a nice touch. So we will be doing a little review of that. At £40, I think it's great value. It's a nice kit. There's now plenty of aftermarket out for it because of the first release. So now's the time to buy into the Lysander. I have unfinished business with Lysander and we will be revisiting it with this. So I'll probably sell on my first release to claw back some money on this one. At £40, I think it's a bargain, and we've already done a kit review of the first release, and it's a really nice kit, though there are some different parts for the special duties version. Right, also being re-released is the Stuka. It's a lovely kit. I plan to be building one. This has got some nice paint options with all the yellow on it. £40, probably reasonably top-end price, but still I wouldn't say it's not worth it. I'd say it's probably okay. Now, one of my star releases this year is this HMS Prince, and I actually said to Dale a couple of years ago, if you're going to release anything in the tall ships, it's got to be HMS Prince, because they're like rocking horse poo to find. And at £40, it's an absolute bargain. This tooling hasn't been hammered, so it's in good condition. So buying that as a vintage classic is less risk, certainly than HMS Victory, where the tooling is basically worn out and they should retool it. That's conversation we've had. But Prince will be very popular because of that back end. She's very blingy. See, she's got loads and loads of bling. Everyone loves bling. And then you've got guns, bling and guns. What's not to like? So a beautiful model, was popular when released. The reason why it's hard to find is because, unlike other kits like the Endeavour and what have you like that, she is really pretty and people build it. They don't just buy it and then go, you know what, this looks a bit boring, I'll build something else, and then eventually they get rid of it. They buy it, they build it, they're excited for it. We did a review of this kit recently in 2025, so go and have a look in the first impressions. What you should get is something very, very similar. It's a lovely kit, lots of time needed to paint it. I talk about how to paint it in the review. It's not how a lot of people go about it. They get it wrong. There was some talk in the members area about how to paint it, and they were getting it wrong, you know. And I know there's another channel that's built it and painted it with paint pens. Don't do it. It will not look right because you can't get the depth of that moulding. So yeah, HMS Prince, for me, one of the star releases for Airfix, you know. And again, other channels are just sort of going, oh yeah, and that. Yeah, well, sorry, we like our ships on this channel. We know how important that kit is. So yeah, that's going to absolutely depress people who've got that in their stash, who had an intention of selling it to make a profit at some point, because that's just wiped its value out, because that will be in good condition, so you've got no need to buy an older one. Right, another star of the show is this, the JU52. Now, those of you that have been following the channel for a long time will know that my first ever complete build diary on this channel was a JU52. It was the Gaahleri one, which actually is a pre-war version in its commercial guise, and I did it in the 1936 Olympics decals, aftermarket decals, and it's stunning, and it's still one of my favourite builds. And when I do my rotation of kits, that one always stays there. It's not been off display for 5 years because I absolutely love it. In all the silver with the wheel spats and stuff, it does look really, really nice. So what we've got here is the military version. So you've got guns on it, you've got a detailed interior. It looks like it's going to be a really nice kit. Now, one of the important things for me is this is a Series 8 kit, so I've not pre-ordered it. I'm going to get this one on my flying hours, so it's not going to cost the channel anything. But at £42, I think it's an absolute bargain, because it comes with the crates and the oil boxes that you see. So you've almost got a little diorama. You just need a base. So I think that's stunning value. The kit looks really detailed. And, you know, generally Airfix's aircraft kits are extremely well detailed. So I'm really looking forward to that. So, moving up to the £50 mark, we have 148 English Electric Lightning. Some people will love that. I always think it looks a bit pot-bellied. It's a bit of an ugly aircraft, so I'm the beholder and all that. Doesn't speak to me, but some people will love it, and I'm sure it'll be a nice kit. Then we've got a re-release of the Bristol Blenheim. again, a fairly nice kit and a recent tooling, and one that I've been meaning to build. The Jaguar is being re-released, this time in the 2-seat version. So the whole front end is completely different. Lots of people will be interested in that. I won't be getting it, so I won't be reviewing it. We've reviewed one is enough. Westland Sea King in 148, lots of people will like that, particularly in the Air Rescue bright yellow. We're at £60 now for that. I've ummed and ahed about that. I might change my mind, but I've not pre-ordered it yet. I've got 1 or 2 helicopters in the stash. Do I want to add another one? Not especially. Avro Shackleton, I've got or had one of these. It's a very nice kit. So yeah, there's a few of them knocking around and they go for silly money. So this is a nice little addition at £60. Actually, it's a huge aircraft in 172 scale, much bigger than a Lancaster. So yeah, it's definitely value for money, and in the new plastic, that'll be really, really nice. So yeah, then we've got this Swedish Air Force 100th anniversary set, and that was a bit of an oddball for me. So you've got, what have you got in there? 5 kits for £60. That in itself, at 172 scale kits, I think is stunning value. You know, you're at what are you at, £12.50 a kit? I think that's stunning value. You've got a combination of aircraft in there. And if you are from Sweden and you're a model builder, I'm sure you're gonna love it. It doesn't do anything for me. If you're a big avid aviation guy, maybe it does, I don't know. But yeah, it's another one that I get but don't get. But I'm not an aviation enthusiast, so it doesn't massively speak to me. Fairy Gannet re-released, a very popular kit. Some people disrespectfully call it an ugly aircraft. I think it's a beautiful aircraft. When it's modelled with the wings folded and everything, it really does look the business. It's a cracking kit, and it's nice to see that back. And then you've got the 148 McDonnell Douglas Phantom, which I think for some people will be the star release for the year. It's not going to be my star release of the year. But yeah, the McDonnell Douglas Phantom FG1. Lots of people will love that. Natural successor to the Jaguar, I suspect. No interest for me. That is one of the dullest aircraft ever. I have built one when I was a kid, and I put it on my shelf, and everything else got displayed in front of it because it's just dull. Sorry, aircraft enthusiasts. I know you're all shouting at me now, going, "What are you talking about? It's the best aircraft ever." Whatever. Doesn't speak to me, just like no doubt HMS Prince doesn't speak to you. Right, now, the last 2 on here are both pre-orders for me. I'm actually going to go with the Hellcat first. So, the Hellcat, the most expensive kit at £149. It's worth every penny. It has some fit issues, but it's worth every penny. I have nearly finished building it before the first release one. The only reason that it didn't get finished is because I decided to start this channel. And I needed to do builds from the start. I actually started putting a part built 1200 American warship on, and I'm forgetting in Arizona. And then I realised that people didn't want to jump in halfway, and that's still a shelf queen. And that would still be a shelf queen, but it got damaged in the attic, so it ended up getting chucked. Legendarily, it has some issues with some of the spars inside the wings don't fit particularly well. Some of the bulkheads in the fuselage don't fit so well. But gosh, it's a stunning model when it's built. And you know, the canning on it, the surface texturing is really, really nice. It's a beautiful model, and yeah, I'm absolutely looking forward to reviewing it on the channel, because we've never done that, and at some point building it on the channel. And I'm going to do this one, which is it's actually a training version, but it's got all this lettering and writing on it. So yeah, I think that'll be nice, and do it with its wings folded. It'll be stunning. So that's why I bought that, because it's sort of unfinished business and I was really enjoying building it. And the engine is an absolute work of art. They give you all the rigging instructions for copper wiring it. I even think I might have kept the engine, so I might be there. But yeah, lovely kit. This though is my Star Airfix release. So they've introduced this new thing called Legends. Brilliant idea, Airfix, absolutely nailing it. Now, I bought the Bulldog when it first came out, and I said to the designer at Telford that year, I love the kit so much, I've bought a second one. If you remember, I built it on the channel, I wasn't 100% happy with my finish. It was passable, but I knew I could do better. So I wanted to build it again, and I said to the designer, I really want to build it in the Douglas Bader livery. I'd love to do it. And he said, well, you can't, because there is differences. And I remember myself and one of the members was having a conversation, and they'd done a bit of research, and it was mainly the landing gear, although the designer had said there was one or two other differences as well, different positions of things and what have you. So then they re-released the Bulldog at the back end of last year, and it was the right version for Douglas Bader. So I went, right, okay, I'm going to get that, and then I'll get the Douglas Bader decals, which were available from Extra Decal. So they do 2 sets of decals for the Bulldog. The first set has the right decals on for Douglas Bader. That's the set that's now out of production. So I bought the kit and couldn't get hold of the decals, really frustrated. Airfix then released this Legends Douglas Bader triple pack. 3 of the aircraft that he has built, that he's flown I should say. So including the Bulldog, which is the one that he famously crashed and lost his legs in, as I understand it. So you get the Bulldog with his livery on. You get a Hurricane, you know, one of my favourite aircraft, the Hurricane, war-winning weapon, Battle of Britain and all that sort of stuff. And you also get the Spitfire as well, which is a nice aircraft as well. So, you know, you get 3 classic aircraft, all as flown by Douglas Bader. It's a lovely display idea. You're going to see tons of them at Telford in a year or so's time. I couldn't say no to it. I had to buy it, which means that'll be my 3rd Bulldog. So I'm going to have to get offload a couple of Bulldogs, because I don't need 4 of them. But yeah, so I think that's brilliant. I'm really interested to see what else comes out of Legends. But for me, that's a really nice idea. And that's the Star release from Airfix for me. So more of that, please, Airfix. More Legends. I think that's a brilliant idea. British Legends. And people do it. Edward do it. Flying Aces. They quite often focus on the Germans, though. Let's get some British Aces up and the aircraft they flew. I think it's a brilliant idea. Now, if you don't know anything about Douglas Bader, maybe you're not British, there is a film called Reach for the Sky, all about him, with John Mills playing Douglas Bader, and he does a cracking job. And on YouTube there is a video with Douglas Bader, This Is Your Life, and John Mills is actually in there as part of that. So go and watch the film. You can do a little bit of research, but he's very famous in the UK because he lost both his legs, then went and flew and developed all sorts of tactics that were used by the RAF, then got captured and repeatedly tried to escape. I think he even ended up in Colditz, don't hold me to that, but something like that. A proper legend. So that's so apt, the title. So there you go. That is the Airfix 2026 releases and my view of it. I think Airfix absolutely nailed it this year. What we don't need is Airfix to then score an old goal with the quality control. So as long as they get that right this year, and I'm just hoping that their 135 vehicle releases will be up to modern standard in terms of detail. If they can get those two things right, then this undoubtedly will be one of the best years ever for Airfix, I think. Yeah, so a really nice range of kits, things that people have been asking for, things that people definitely want. There's not too much in the way of new stuff, but when it is new, it's bang on the money. So I think they've done a great job. So that's it for this week. That's this week's Table Talk done. We're not doing a chat about a topic or anything. I will be back next week with Table Talk, and we'll see if that ship turned up from Jadlam. Such a rubbish company. Right, and on that bombshell, have a great week. Until I next see you, you enjoy your modelling. That's the most important thing. Bye for now.